there, welcome to That Dang Dad. My name is Phil, and what do we say to the god of video essays? Yes, tonight actually. I'm going to be spoiling the Game of Thrones state of affairs as of Season 8, Episode 2 or so. So if you're not caught up to that point, feel free to navigate away to one of my other videos, but I would ask that you please be respectful and do not leave my channel. Thank you. Anyway, Game of Thrones, huh? Beheadings of Neds and weddings of Reds. We sure have fun, don't we? I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of the show right now. I mean, I love the world and I have my characters that I adore or whatever. But, for me, the writing has really fallen off and just the verve of the show isn't what it used to be for the last couple of seasons, and it's just not the same. But I still want to know what happens to the world of Westeros, so I've just been kind of turning my brain off and checking in and following along until the end. That said, something struck me in the first couple episodes of season 8, and it has to do with one of my other problems with the show, which is the just unrelenting nihilism of Game of Thrones. See, I'm already a nihilist, so just seeing an endless cavalcade of betrayals and murders and rapes is just not as cool after 2016 or so, if you know what I mean. But the last couple of episodes have shown us something that's almost potentially redemptive. So, to set the stage, basically, the characters that we would consider heroes in this world right now are all holed up in the Fortress of Winterfell, and they are waiting for a giant army to come and attack them that they're pretty sure they can't even survive, let alone defeat. Cersei Lannister, who's a queen in the south, had promised to send some backup, and instead she has betrayed them and is not sending backup so that she can mop up whoever survives this climactic battle. The outlook is grim, and basically the entire episode consists of our favorite characters getting ready for battle, kind of finishing up some personal loose ends, or just commiserating over wine, presumably on their last night on Earth, trying to find a little ounce of happiness before, the inevitable. However, if you've followed the show since the beginning, then you know that this remaining batch of heroes here in Winterfell is a ragtag group of former enemies. Winterfell is the home of the Stark family, who has been savagely abused by the Lannister family. Daenerys Targaryen basically told her dragons to immolate the leaders of House Tarly, and yet here's Sam Tarly essentially taking the news in stride. There's a guy named the Hound, who's like the sworn enemy of Arya Stark, and even they've found kind of an uneasy peace. The Targaryens and the Lannisters have been horrible to the houses of the North, many of which are devastated and are not able to offer any kind of meaningful support to House Stark. And all of the houses have, up until recently, enacted basically a genocide against the unaffiliated free peoples beyond the Wall. And yet, on the eve of annihilation, all of these parties are breaking bread together. They're prepared to fight side by side. They're even going to defend the children and the less able-bodied of other houses as if they were their own house. And yes, you've guessed it, I'm going to do it again. I'm referencing Stacy Simplican's The Capacity Contract, because I just love this book, and like I do when I find a new spice or a new sauce, I just add it to everything. I was just struck by Game of Thrones' contrast between Cersei Lannister's community of domination, in which she seduces or pays off these mercenaries so that they can help her retain power, and this community of vulnerability up in Winterfell, these people who have set aside their old grudges, their various faiths, sometimes their family names, just to band together because they all need the same thing, which is deliverance from this apocalyptic army. Again and again in season 7 and 8, this coalition is built around people who are suffering from the same affliction, if you will. And it's just built by people saying, I need help. I'm afraid I can't do this by myself. And for me, this is just mind-blowing for a show that for almost 10 years has been about the importance of shows of strength, of projections of power, of the danger of appearing weak. But to very loosely quote Simplican, the domination contract ignores the full range of human vulnerability. And if the basis for social contract is human vulnerability, then we should reject the domination contract because it bases political solidarity on a false foundation of equal, stable, and measurable capacities. But in Locke's democratic capacity contract, we as citizens stick together and err on the side of justice for the vulnerable because we are cognizant that we are all vulnerable and limited. And to be fair, the show's not over, and as of season 3, Cersei's community of domination looks like it might be the superior force right now. I mean, it looks like she might have been right to keep her powder dry. However, her army is basically just some of her family members and a bunch of mercenaries that she's deeply in debt to, and a bunch of pirates who might as well be flying giant sails that say, not super loyal on all of their ships. So we'll just see how long this community lasts. And yeah, a coalition of diverse warriors from different places setting aside their differences to defeat a common enemy is a fantasy trope as old as time. I think what makes it different in Game of Thrones is that the show has fairly consistently shown that the principled people who trust others are stupid, and they wind up dead a lot. And until the last, 3-4 episodes of this show, you'd be forgiven for thinking that this is the point of Game of Thrones, that cruel strength and cunning ultimately always wins. But suddenly I see a different thesis forming. Maybe the only way to make life better for everyone is to create a space where it's safe to ask for help, where it's safe to own your own limitations, and where, we collaborate on ways to protect and elevate and empower people regardless of their capacity to fight for the cause. Either that or we just grab a crossbow. I don't know. So what do you think? What is the point of Game of Thrones? I would be interested to hear what you think in the comments. And don't forget to pay the like button price, if you know what I mean. Other than that, I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you next time. Good night.